What is a Dallas Cowboy?
It's gonna.
Sorry, they're saying this. They want me to change it. The Nico curse.
The Nico curse. The curse of the. Oh, but hang on. It was the curse of the Bambino.
Trust
not
in
the curse
Nico.
of the Harry Frazee.
That's right. What is a Cowboys Combine interview like? Todd Archer did a pretty neat piece taking you inside of the Jake Ferguson interview. Said it was 18 minutes. The Cowboys got all the answers they needed in that interview process and were not compelled to bring him to the Star for a visit. So when you look at Ashton Genty or you look at these quarterbacks and say, was it an official? Was it unofficial? Is there a visit? Is there not a visit? Jake Ferguson did not end up going to the Star. Quote from Chris Vaughn, director of college scouting, Deuces Pops. By the time we get to the Combine, we are either confirming or verifying information. We've got a lot of info already, but if we think a guy is really smart, now we're verifying that. Rarely do we go in and start a report from scratch. We are further along the process. The 18 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, but we know what we want to get to. So the Cowboys meeting another 45 players last week in Indianapolis. They already met with a number of prospects at the Senior Bowl. East-West Shrine game is a prelude to the Combine. And the prospect sits, I love Todd painting the picture of the room. The prospect sits at the head of the table with all eyes peering at him as he looks at a video screen or a whiteboard. He'll see some Cowboys plays on tape as well as some of his own plays from college that will be dissected. And Ferguson said, it's stressful if you make it stressful. Everyone's like, it's the rest of your life, but honestly, you just need to be yourself. That's what got you there. The Cowboys start their player interviews by asking background questions. Beforehand, they have their in-house security team and general counsel go through any legal issues a player may have, so they know the answers to the questions they are about to ask. Who told us at the Combine that someone just started lying and they're like, you're off the board? You're out. See you later. Was it Tannenbaum? Yeah, it was Tannenbaum.
I can't remember if it was Tannenbaum or Dame, one of them. But yeah, somebody I don't think he identified the player, but they knew he was lying through his teeth immediately.
Some of the guys are very honest. Some of the guys will know that they completely lied. So you just kind of know you want to avoid them. Because I think I asked the follow-up, does that ever burn you? Like, okay, someone lied. Just like your kid lies. Just like you lie about getting in trouble.
Really wrong.
And you're going to take them off the board and eliminate them? That it doesn't come back to burn you? And this article, along with Tannenbaum, was like, no, most of the time, almost all the time, it's right when they lie to you.
Yeah, and it's because of the things they're usually, like they mentioned there. You got to remember, they mentioned security team, general counsel. Like, these are potential legal issues some of these guys are getting asked about where they already know the answers to, where it's like, okay, now you're lying to me about something that maybe you had to run in with the law, and it's not just about, I had a great relationship with my quarterback, when in reality I thought he was like kind of a D-bag. It's not like that. It's a lot of times it is stuff where they've got that 18 minutes to pack in really important questions that they want to know how they answer them.
Real quick, it did burn the Cowboys once, did it not, with Randy Moss? Now, he didn't lie, but he had off-field concerns, and they passed on him for those.
Yeah, but
it burned 19 other people, too.
Yeah, it did.
The coaches in the room will draw up different formations on the whiteboard and have the player remember them. Then they will pivot to a different topic, only to go back to the formation and have the player draw it up later. They're testing a player's memory and how well and quickly they can learn. You're listening, taking notes on how the guy comes across, how he talks the game. You want to understand that. You want to see his poise. Some interviews stand out. Some people were in the room when the Cowboys talked to Sean Lee in 2010 at Penn State. Lee's understanding of defensive concepts, his energy and leadership stood out to everyone in the room. Quote from a Cowboys personnel guy, I wanted to draft him right there, right then and there. Ferguson, I absolutely whiffed on a guy in the Penn State game or something. The dude swam at me and I missed. Coach Wells, Lunda Wells, who we saw at the Combine, was like, what are you going to do there next time? This is my block. This is how I'm supposed to do it. And I missed on it. Wells goes, okay, what are you going to do the next time? I answered him again. He asked it again. Finally, I just said, well, I'm going to F him up. And Coach Wells said, good. That was the answer he was looking for. 2 months later, Cowboys drafted Ferguson, who went on to the Pro Bowl in 2023. And Ferguson said, quote, the first day in here, the first thing Wells said to me was about that interview. So that's Todd Archer taking us inside the Cowboys process.
Yeah, those interviews, they make a difference. Not just the ones at the Combine, but the ones they get at the facility or the ones, like you mentioned, that they have at the Senior Bowl or other various places. It's such a critical... That's one of the ways that they really fell in love with DeMarvion Overshown, was when they heard him talk about the game of football and talk about the way that he sees it. And they're like, okay, he's kind of been a raw project and he's played a million different positions at Texas, but we feel like we can bank on this because of what we've seen in this interview process. The interview process was huge for them with Tyler Smith because they knew he was raw. And it's like, okay, the tools are there. The biggest thing we're going to have to investigate here is, do we trust what we find out in these months leading up to the draft that says he shows he can pick it up, or he shows he's coachable, he shows he's smart, he can pick these things up. It's burned other people. The Vikings didn't interview Laquan Treadwell. Laquan Treadwell got to Minnesota and he couldn't pick up the playbook. And they were like, he doesn't understand NFL concepts. And they didn't know it. And that kind of screwed them a little bit. Other people have been screwed by it. Dak Prescott was a guy who really impressed them during the interview process with the way that he was able to go back on the whiteboard and draw stuff back up for him. And so these are absolutely crucial moments for them in terms of trying to figure out who can actually handle what we throw at them. And that's why a big chunk of it's about talent, but it's not just, hey, who's the most talented player on the board? There's a lot more that goes into it for them to say, can you reach it? Can you maximize it?
877-881-1053 in order to hit us up on the Franklin Frankel Injury Attorney text line.
It would really suck either way if you don't draft somebody because of, their ability on a whiteboard and then they turn out to hit. But it would also suck the other way that if you draft somebody even though they were terrible on the whiteboard and it turns out to be you would have been right to pass on them. Like it is one of the more difficult parts of the draft, because you would think the draft is just about, hey, talented player, let's take him. But there's a lot more to it, especially in position. Positions matter. Quarterback, you cannot have a guy who can't understand the defense. Like, their ability to process, to me, is your ability to process is as important or more than your